Oh my god. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would rather read Mewtwo's Desire again than read what I'm about to read. The fanfic itself today, Retribution and Strength, sounds innocent enough. And, you know, the subject matter itself is innocent enough, but this fanfic was written by the same person who wrote Overlook Feelings. Overlook Feelings is the fanfic that slashed Susan and I together. Now we need to be very careful because I don't want Susan to know about this. And what really sucks is that for the 200th episode, I have to read the sequel to this fanfic. I don't think this fanfic slashes us together, but I'm still concerned, especially when it comes to Susan, because back when we reviewed Overlook Feelings together, she reacted badly to it, and that was when she was still normal, happy, well, not exactly happy-go-lucky, but deadpan and sane acting Susan. With how she is now, face pistol, happy Susan, bam, 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 that's probably going to be me if she finds out about this. And I know she watches the show, and Susan, I hope you understand, I'm just going to keep you away from this until I can explain it, and when you cool down. I'll probably leave the country for a couple of weeks and then come back when you're all cool down. Wait, that might not be a good idea, because she might get really mad and pull a misery on me and cut off my legs so I can't ever leave. Oh my god. The author changed his name. It was originally Master Maritsu, and now it's Master Saruwatari. I probably said it wrong. And this one is on fanfiction.net. Okay. Retribution and Strength. I don't think it slashes us together, but it's still. This picks up at the end of the 3-part miniseries by the FanFic Critic. What? 3-part miniseries? The last episode was called Confessions. I never had an episode called Confessions, you fucking idiot. There will be a sequel to this. FFC and Susan. Oh god, no. Please don't. Oh. Well, it just says and Susan. It doesn't say slash. And it says it doesn't have a genre. Okay, it's rated Fiction M. Ooh. Has 1,133 words, 4 reviews, and 2 faves. And it was made back in 2011. Huh. I'm surprised this didn't pop up on my radar sooner. Retribution and Strength, a fanfic about a miniseries by the FanFic Critic. Note, FFC FanFic Critic. Emotions run strong in all of us. We use them every day. It is something that makes us human. Without it, we're nothing but a lifeless soul in an empty world. You see, without emotions, we wouldn't have lasted as long as we did in this world. Be thankful for having it. Let emotion flow through your body. Why does this guy have to give a pep talk in the beginning of each of his stories? If you don't get the emotion flow, the price is death. What is your choice? After a very heartfelt conversation between the FFC and Susan, nice use of non-comma there, things went back to normal in the household. FFC was doing her usual ranting and raving over poor fanfics on the internet. Susan was there to clam her down. Don't you mean calm? Of if things got too out of hand. One day, an unknown YouTube user sends the FanFic Critic a fanfic by the name of My Immortal. Yeah, this person must be so outdated. I reviewed My Immortal back in my webcam days. This fanfic had it all, folks. Bad grammar, no clear plot, pointless filler, and overall bad writing. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding? Why is there a typo every fucking sentence? Shouldn't say, why is there a typo in every fucking sentence? The FFC loudly questioned herself. Questioned with an ED. Jesus Christ, are they purposely making grammar mistakes just to piss me off? Maybe that's supposed to be the irony about this fanfic. A fanfic about the FanFic Critic where the author of this fanfic does not know the use of proper spelling and grammar. Well, they know some spelling and grammar. They just don't know how to be sharp when it comes to fixing mistakes. As she threw hands up in the air wildly. As she threw her hands up in the air wildly, you mean? That's it, I'm done. This fanfic is terrible. It shouldn't exist on this fucking planet. This author fails at life. She grabs the very powerful stun gun. Susan always seems to leave around her for some weird reason. Susan was downstairs watching House when she heard another FFC freakout going on. Okay, if this is supposed to take place when I was still living at my mom and dad's house, she would be upstairs, not downstairs, because my old room was in the basement. This house, my room is upstairs, and the kitchen is downstairs. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe people think that house is the same as this house. Well, it's not. Oh no, what did she read this time? Maybe I shouldn't do the British accent. That might imply to her that I am reading a fanfic about us. She heavily sighs and heads up the stairs to her room to check on her. So is Susan checking on herself? When she opens the door, Susan saw the FFC aiming the stun gun at her head. See you guys forever in this pathetic world we live in. The FFC shouted into the camera. Stop it, you twit. Susan doesn't use the word twit. Susan rushes over to the FFC and forcefully tries to take the stun gun away. Oh, no, you're not. You can't stop me this time, Susan. FFC pulled back hard. Oh, yes, you will. Susan matches her strength with an even harder pull. The power struggle went on for a couple of seconds until the FFC realized that she wouldn't be able to outmuscle her friend. She loosens her grip to let go off this... Now I'm fucked up myself. Okay. She loosens her grip to let go of the stun gun. Susan took this as a sign of giving up. Good girl. Now, boom. The FFC threw a picture-perfect punch, left hand, a picture-perfect left hand to Susan's jaw. How about just say the FFC punched Susan in the jaw? And I'm sorry, I would not even think about doing that to Susan, especially with how she is these days. Susan's head was sent back hard. The punch left tiny bruise. Why is it so hard for people to proofread their work? Read the work out loud before you post it on the internet, especially if it's going to be a fanfic about me. The punch left a tiny bruise on her cheek and a spot of blood coming from her mouth. FFC and Susan just exchanged cold stares at each other. After a few good minutes of staring at each other, the empty looks they had on their faces before were gone. Susan had a very wide grin on her face. The FFC had a very puzzled look on her face. Susan, she tried to come up with a very good apologize. Apology, you mean? Okay. But she was cut off when Susan pulled her into a big hug. That was a good punch. I didn't know you had it in ya. I didn't know that Susan was from Boston. Susan said with much joy, thanks. FSC responded in a puzzled voice. In a puzzled voice, I should more appropriately say. Have you ever thought about being a boxer? You still need work, but one day you can become as good as Anne Rolfe or Kirsty Martin. Wow, completely different fanfic time! Susan does not know shit about boxing. And I really don't give a flying fuck about boxing. Is this going to turn into a boxing fanfic? Well, as long as there's no sweaty Susan and FFC sex, I'll be fine. God, why did I say that? Susan continues to praise the potential she saw within her. What, are you insane? I could get hurt, she said while breaking away from the hug. I'm not afraid of getting hurt. Just because I'm a little iffy about being shot a bunch of times with a face pistol doesn't mean I'm afraid of getting hurt. I mean, you're talking to someone who occasionally slits her own throat every now and then. Jeez, I like how this person makes both of us come across as out of character in these fanfics. You won't get hurt as much if I'm the one training you. We're going to the gym tomorrow morning, okay? Susan said with the same grin on her face. The FFC was kind of curious herself, so she nodded in agreement with Susan. Susan saw the nod and left her room after that. Oh yes, because Susan would react to me punching her by wanting to train me to be a better boxer. Now, if this was the Susan we know today, she would probably beat the shit out of me. And then creepily watch me as I'm unconscious to apologize later. She's got to stop doing that. It's creepy. How would she like it if she was sleeping and she woke up and I was watching her with a grin on my face like this? Are you feeling better? Okay. I might make her pissed if I keep on making comments like that, so I'm going to stop now. Instead of driving to the gym, the FFC threw they were going to do. Not through. Not. Idiot. And that's a fragment. That entire sentence right there is a fragment. Instead of driving to the gym, the FFC thought they were going to do. And that's how it ends. That's a fucking fragment. Armed with training and dress in sweatshirt and sweatpants. Dressed in sweatshirt and sweatpants. They actually jogged all the way to the gym that was a couple of blocks away from their house. I can assure you, a gym is not a couple of blocks away from my house. It's on the other side of the fucking town. The jog was a nightmare for the FFC. She was already covered head to toe in her own sweat when they enter the gym. Don't you mean enter? Does this person not know about EDs or past tense? After registering for a gym membership, Susan shows the FFC what boxers do to train, the rules of boxing, and what is boxing exactly. The FFC found the tour very interesting and informative from Susan. She showed her all the training methods boxers go through to get ready for a fight. She got a chance to put the gloves on herself. While they were not her gloves, she enjoyed the experience of pounding the heavy bag. She wishes she could have her own so wouldn't have to use the ones at the gym. They spent a good 5 hours at the gym. When they got home, the FFC was dead tired and wanted to go to sleep. Susan let her do that, but she told her to wait upstairs for her. Okay, said a near-tired FFC. She went upstairs and lay down on her bed waiting for Susan. A couple of moments later, the FFC feels light taps of leather on her face while she was laying down on her bed. Get up, sleepyhead, said Susan as she kept lightly tapping on the boxing gloves on her face. Okay, stop it, she responded as she finally sat up on her bed. Susan took a step back and took off the black gloves and held it, don't you mean held them, seeing it's two gloves, in front of the FFC's face. The FFC saw them. What are these? The FFC questioned. Are you trying to get me murdered by my cousin by making these stupid typos? They're your new boxing gloves. Duh. Oh yes, Susan does not say duh, you idiot. Write her in character. I see, look. It was fun and all, but the FFC was at a loss of words. She was trying to avoid pissing Susan off. Just take them, silly. I know you like the sport. She gave her the boxing gloves. Thank you. So, you're going to put me in a fight? The FFC had a very puzzled look. You are so lucky I'm trying to be restrained for this, because if I didn't have to worry about Susan overhearing me, I'd be ripping your head off right now! Puzzled. ED. Puzzled. Past tense. Puzzled. On her face. You got that right. We are going to be fighting someone you know very well. Susan was about to leave. Wait! The FFC shouted. Susan stopped and turned her head around. What? Susan answered. Who am I fighting? The FFC said. Don't you mean the FFC asked? You idiot. 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 I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Take a breath. Take a breath. Okay. Susan just civilly at her. Smiled. You fucking idiot. Smiled. Oh, you'll find out soon enough, Susan said as she finally took her leave. The FFC was confused by Susan's decision to already put her in a fight. I mean, she didn't mind lacing up the gloves, but she felt it was too soon for her. Aside from that, she felt a sense of strength in the gloves when she put them on. And I guess that's how the fanfic ends. Okay, this story, although it wasn't as mind-scarring as Overlooked Feelings, the grammar, as you can see, almost made me explode. And the fact that this story has a sequel. Oh, and I already know the title of the sequel. The Final Showdown, FFC versus Hamo Hamster. For God's sake. Really? Really? I highly doubt Hamo Hamster even knows how to box. But I digress. So this fanfic, it was okay. But the ending was just there and the grammar needs desperate work. I'm going to have to be very careful the week leading up to the 200th episode. And I have to be very careful to not let Susan see either this episode or the next episode. Because if she does before I have a chance to explain myself, something tells me that Susan is probably gonna... We need to have a talk.